If you've ever been to a high school diving meet, you know the feeling. You can smell that chlorine in the air, right? And there's this nervous energy buzzing all around you.
It's one of the most beautiful and honestly tense moments in all of sports. You've got the squeak of the wet feet on the board, then that sudden pin drop silence, and then that perfect, near soundless rip as the diver just slices into the water. Everyone holds their breath. But if you're a coach or you're an athletic director, you're holding your breath for a totally different reason. And that's the scary possibility that something could go horribly wrong.
So I have to ask you, in that gut-wrenching moment when an athlete is in the air, are you absolutely 100% positive that you're covered? The answer? Well, it's probably not what you think it is, and it could literally sink your entire program. So let's get into it. Okay, we're going to start with the single biggest, most dangerous misunderstanding in all of school athletics. Here it is. It's this belief, this assumption that, hey, the district's general liability policy covers everything. It's such a comforting thought, isn't it? It just feels right. But here's the thing, it's almost always wrong. See, your general liability policy, people call it a GL policy, it's designed for the day-to-day stuff. You know, a visitor slips on a wet floor, a parent trips on a cracked sidewalk. But for the high-impact, high-risk world of sports, it's like trying to carry water in a leaky bucket. It's just full of holes, and we're about to show you exactly where they are. So where are these holes exactly? Let's take a hard look at your policy's biggest and most dangerous blind spots. This, right here, is the absolute key. It's called the Athletic Participant Exclusion, and I guarantee it's buried deep in the fine print of most of those general policies. It means if a spectator slips on the wet pool deck, you're covered. But if the diver slips on the board, you are not. It covers the fan, but it leaves the player completely exposed. And it gets worse. Beyond that huge exclusion, you've got other massive gaps. Like, what if you're competing at the local university's pool? Well, your policy might not travel with you. It stays back at your school. And how are your athletes getting to the meet? If it's a parent carpool or a rented van, yeah, you've probably got a giant transportation blind spot. Every single one of these is a potential lawsuit, just waiting for a place to happen. So knowing the gaps is one thing, but now we're going to look at the common, catastrophic mistakes that people make that can literally bankrupt a program. Okay, mistake number one. This one is probably the most common, and it's all about putting way too much faith in a simple piece of paper. You treat your waivers like they're an ironclad fortress. You make sure every single parent signs one, you file them away, and you think, okay, we're protected. You're not. A waiver is just a deterrent, it is not a fortress. And trust me, a judge can, and very often will, just toss it right out of court. You know what? Think of it this way. Your waiver is your seatbelt. It is a critical first line of defense, for sure. But your insurance policy? That's your airbag. That is what actually saves you when there's a real crash. And let's be honest, you would be absolutely reckless to drive a car with one, but not the other. All right, mistake number two can have some really serious financial and legal blowback, and it's all about forgetting to name your partners. So when you use another facility, maybe it's a YMCA pool or a university natatorium, they always ask you to add them to your policy as an additional insured. This isn't just some friendly suggestion. It is an absolutely critical step you cannot skip. Because if you forget and an accident happens on their property, here's what happens. The university's insurance company pays the claim, and then their lawyers immediately turn around and sue you to get all of their money back. It's called subrogation, and it's how a great partnership turns into an incredibly expensive legal nightmare. Okay, the final mistake we're going to talk about is hiding in plain sight, right in the numbers on the front page of your policy. So you look at your policy and you see, great, we have $1 million in coverage. But wait, is that per occurrence or is that aggregate? Because if your aggregate limit for the whole season is only $1 million and one bad injury costs, say, $800,000, well, you're left with just $200,000 to cover everything else for the rest of the year. One more simple slip and fall could wipe you out completely. Okay, I know, we've covered a lot of scary stuff, a lot of things that can go wrong. But here's the good news. Getting the right coverage, it's not that complicated. So let's pivot away from the problems and talk about the policy you actually need. A true gold standard athletic policy has 4 key pillars. First, participant liability. This is the non-negotiable coverage for your actual athletes that your other policy is missing. Second, its own general liability for spectators. Third, abuse and molestation coverage. Now, I know it's tough to talk about, but it is absolutely essential. And finally, it has to cover your volunteers and your staff, so the parent who's timing the meet is just as protected as your head coach. So how do you get this gold standard coverage? It's actually way more straightforward than you think. Here's your clear 3-step action plan. Okay, step 1, start with your governing body like your state's high school athletic association. They've already done the hard work of finding and vetting the specialist brokers. Step 2, find one of those brokers who lives and breathes amateur sports, not the person who just bundles your home and auto. You need someone who speaks your language. And third, put together a professional underwriting packet. Get your meet schedule, your rosters, your safety protocols all in one place. This shows insurers you're serious and helps you get the best possible quote. And this right here needs to be your mantra for the entire season. No certificate, no competition. It's that simple. If you don't have that certificate of insurance in your hand, the meet does not happen, period. It's a simple rule that just erases a massive amount of risk. So let's end with this, your call to action. Don't assume anything. Verify everything. I want you to do this right now. Open up your email, find your school's business manager, and send them this exact question. Get it in writing. That one email, that one simple act of verification, it might just be the most important thing you do for your program all year long.